guys, happy Monday night. I missed you guys. Last week didn't happen because of my haircut. That took a little longer than anticipated. So here we are, and I made it to California. I'm here. I'm gonna wait for Shakti to hop on, and then we will get to chatting. As you're hopping on, say hello. Hey, Tanya. I'll let you go. You're the only one on right now, but I already kind of told Shakti I'm not, well, she doesn't know this part. I'm not wearing any pants, and I'm still wearing my bathing suit. I basically just like put my sweatshirt on over, hey Julie, I put my sweatshirt on over my bathing suit because it's only 6 o'clock here. And I still have like a wet ass from the pool, so I'm like sitting on a towel. So yeah, that's my evening. So no pants, wet ass, sweatshirt over a bathing suit. That's how I'm rolling tonight. We're just waiting for Shakti to hop on. And then we will, tonight's gonna be a good topic. We've been making you guys wait, right? Last week we were supposed to talk about this, and then we didn't because I was stuck at the salon getting my hair shaved. California style for real. I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm staying, it's a gated community in a condo. It's bigger than the place I lived in Chicago. It's the biggest Airbnb I've stayed in so far. I've got Buddha above me, and there's like, I don't know, an abundance of pools. There's a pool like literally right next to this, right next to my building. But apparently there's like pools all over the complex. It just happens to be, there happens to be one right there. So I was like, you know what? PD and a pool is exactly how I'd like to roll today. Thank you. Here she comes. Hey.
Yeah.
I was just sharing with our audience that I'm not wearing any pants. My ass is wet, and I threw a sweatshirt over my bathing suit.
Sounds about right. I'm in rare form, so if anybody is hopping on, I'm going to give a disclaimer right now that many curse words will fly out of my mouth, and if that makes you uncomfortable, this would not be the episode for you to watch.
Well, okay. Also though, like all of our episodes, we're swearing up a storm. So, yeah. I mean...
But like today I'm feeling especially like disruptive, so, you know... Just FYI.
So here's a backstory for you guys. So Shakti messages me. She's like, FYI, and she already posted about this on Facebook, so it's not a secret. But like, she Voxered me, and she's like, FYI, I'm kind of in rare form. I'm kind of feeling like I just want to say fuck you to everyone. And I was like, cool. Well, I'm in like the California vibes and landed at the pool all day, so I'll help balance out your feistiness.
Let's hope you can. Let's hope you can.
I make no promise.
Right now, my California is disruptive.
Okay, but do you remember the band I was in? Do you remember the band I was in and all the shit that came flying everywhere that I was the mediator for? I feel like I got good practice.
Well, good. We're going to share this out. Say hi. Tell us where you're watching from if it's your first time hopping on. I don't even know what we're talking about. I literally just showed up. That's exactly how this is going tonight.
We're talking about money.
Oh, that's right. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'm like feeling hot,
Can't
guys.
wait.
But like, I'm not about to take off my sweatshirt when all I'm wearing is a bathing suit. But I'm like hot.
Why not, Ann? Why not, ants? Why not?
Oh God, this is gonna be an interesting one. There's a fan. Yeah. There's a fan. The remote's over there, and I'm wearing no pants. So if I stand up, this will. Oh boy. You guys get an interesting episode tonight.
Yeah, no joke. this is gonna be, I don't even know what's gonna happen. I don't know what's about to happen. I honestly don't know. So, great. Good all around. Hey guys. Hi Kari, hi Tanner, hi Tanya, hi Claudia, hi Kobe. What up? I can't see a lot of these things because my phone won't scroll too far up. But money, money, and feisty. Fire. Come on in. Come on in. All right.
I have to share it one more time and then I'll be ready. It's so funny too, because like last week we were so ready for this episode, and then we haven't even been talking about money at all this week. We've been on like a whole different wavelength. This is why we don't plan episodes in advance, because like as soon as we plan them, like the next thing is going on. But we didn't want to leave you guys with blue balls, so we decided we would talk about it. I guess I took the initiative to decide that this is still what we're going to talk about.
Because today the only thing I have decided is that I'm not going to murder someone. That's the one thing I have decided today. So Anne definitely made the decision for the topic today.
I was a team player today, guys.
What?
Sure. All right. I'm trying to remember how this topic came up. Well, I know that it came up. Okay, I'm just gonna I'm gonna do like crop top style. Like you guys can't see anyway, but I'm gonna like this is okay. So this topic came up last week. When
Thanks, Julie.
When I was listening to You Are a Badass at Making Money, which those of you in my virtual classroom, you guys know this is the book for our book club this month. And so I was listening to the first couple chapters. I've listened to the book, I don't know, like 4-ish times already. And Shakti and I have worked very diligently on our relationship with money in the last 2 years. And I was telling Shakti, I was voxing her, I think it was on my way to her from the Grand Canyon. And I was telling her that I wanted to talk about this because there are so many people that have so much pride around not having money. I would say there are just as many people who have pride around not having money as have pride around having money, right? And one thing that I love that Jen Sincero says, and I don't remember if she says it exactly in this way, but basically what she's saying is that you're as much of an asshole if you have pride around not having money and try to shame people for not having money, as you are an asshole for being super prideful of the fact that you have all this money and you like shame people for not having money. But there's a lot of people who hold on to their story of being poor and broke and not having money because they think that somehow that makes them better than other people who have money, which is a completely ass backwards way to look at money. So that's kind of how this topic came up.
Yeah. And it wasn't like my personal insight of like, hey, yeah, I had this realization. Anne brought it, and she's like, I think we should really talk about this conversation around money and this like what I would call obsession with poverty. And I came from a community of people that in Gainesville, Florida, where I lived for a long extended period of time, not my home city, but I was there way longer than for college. And I was surrounded by two different community of people who kind of like talked about this fixation on with being poor and how great it was and how it was so much better than being rich. And one of them was like the punk community, which was like always talk shit about capitalism, always talk shit about people with money. It was like so prideful in the fact that they like lived off nothing and could live off nothing, and sort of had this like superiority about it in a really like not that it was ever like really said out loud, but they just lived that way with like, oh wow, look at that person with XYZ money, or a student who had a lot of money driving a really nice car, and there was like a comment, like a side comment made about that, or something like that. And then the other one was the spiritual community, which when I started as a spiritual coach, by the way, you guys, I have been doing this since I was 23 years old. I have been a spiritual mentor. I became a minister when I was 23. Before I even graduated college, I had a ministerial license. And I had an office, and I was doing counseling sessions and seminars and workshops out of it. And that was my world from the time that I was 23 years old. And I remember when I was hosting a class, I think it was a workshop or something that I was putting together for like a weekend period of time. Someone reached out to me and was like, if you were really spiritual, you wouldn't be charging for these classes. And I was like, I'm sorry, what was that comment? And it really offended me, and it hurt because I felt like I was doing something so amazing and so wonderful for the people who were attending this course, and I had all these details planned into it, and I put all this effort into their binders and like food, and like I made it into this amazing experience. And for someone to say that to me, at the time I didn't have enough self-awareness to realize like it was coming from their wounded place. I took it as like I'm doing something wrong. And it really began this question of like, wait a minute, what the fuck is going on right now with our spiritual community and people wanting to tap into our gifts and people wanting my time and people wanting my energy and wanting me to give it to them for fucking free. Guess what? If you went to the grocery store and you were like, I want this food because it's healthy and it's for my body, but I want you to give it to me for fucking free, they would arrest your ass and kick you the fuck out of the store because that's not how it works. You don't get something for nothing. The energetic exchange is real. And in many ways, the energetic exchange is monetary. It doesn't always have to be monetary, but it is. And I think it's really sad to see an entire community of people make the grave mistake of linking those two things and not doing the inner work required to unlink this old ass backwards. I want to say that backwards, but I'm really bad at doing that, so I'm not going to do that. Concept of like money being evil, which P.S. and by the way, was very specific propaganda from many religious leaders for you to believe that, so you would give it all up to them. P.S. And this shit really pisses me off because we've been brainwashed on such a massive scale, we can't even begin to understand how much we've been brainwashed. So understand that if you hold that belief, that like, I'm a spiritual person, therefore I should have no money, or like I shouldn't charge for what I do, that's where that comes from. Some archaic ass belief that was put into place to control you and control your money, and thereby control your power and control your access. P.S. Just gonna throw that in there.
Yeah, and I see a lot of this. So Shakti and I both work in obviously the health and fitness community, right? But she and I also have our own services on top of what we do with health and fitness coaching. And so, you know, we have some prices that we don't set, right? Like when you get a challenge pack from us, whether you join as a client or a coach, like those prices we don't set. They're, you know, set by Beachbody. But as far as like her reading services or my coaching services, we set our own prices. And we've taken the time over time to increase our prices, and it took a lot of doing the inner work to come up with a price that we felt was in energetic alignment with the energy that we give, right? But I see this a lot, and we both see this, where we'll talk to someone about, you know, the value of the health and fitness challenge pack, which gives you like hundreds, everything, right? I mean, way cheaper than going to a gym, like hundreds of workouts. And then you also get a nutritional supplement, and people always want to find the shortcut for how to get it for cheaper, right? Like, oh, well, I can find a shake that's like that. First of all, no, you can't. But I can find a shake that's like that for cheaper. No, you can't. No, you can't. And the thing is, like, what blows my fucking mind is like, why are you wanting to skimp on your health? Like, why are you wanting to skimp on anything, first of all, but like, why are you wanting to skimp on your health? But this is, I hear this so many, it doesn't matter who I hang out with. Like, I hang out with a lot of people whether it's just like going to a grocery store and overhearing something, going to a restaurant and overhearing something, whether it's, you know, comments made by family members or friends or whatever. Like, there's a lot of people who use the word expensive. It's expensive. Be careful using the word expensive, because every time you say something is expensive, what you're basically telling yourself is, I'm not worthy of that. I'm not worthy of having that. I think it's fucking expensive. And there's a difference between I choose not to invest in that and that's expensive. But if you say that's expensive, what you're saying is, I'm not worthy of having that, and you'll never fucking have it.
I'm going to give you a trade-in, a substitute for that phrase. Instead of saying it's expensive, from now on, I want you to say, that's fucking fancy. That's what I want you to say. Every time you see a price tag or you hear of something that you would in the past say, that's expensive, say, that's fucking fancy. Do you know why? Because it changes the way your brain looks at it. It's no longer being like, oh, that's expensive, meaning not for me. It's just like, that's fucking fancy. Because it is. A Tesla is fucking fancy. A big ass house is fucking fancy. A really nice dress is fucking fancy. Really nice shoes is fucking fancy. So when you say that phrase, not only is it fun, so it's going to make you laugh, right? Like when you say that, you're going to think of this conversation, you're going to laugh, which is going to change your energy, because laughter is extremely powerful. But now you're putting something else to it, which doesn't make it out of reach. Because when you say a phrase like, it's expensive, that means it is far from me. So when you say something like, it's fucking fancy, it's just an observation. It is. And it makes you giggle. So now it's closer to you than it was before. So this is like kind of like NLP stuff. Like the words that you use really matter in how your brain operates in the world and sees the world. So when you change words like that and you make something like fun and lighter, it literally changes your energy and your body around something. I love it. My son calls me fancy lady. Yeah, I'm fancy, yo. I'm fancy. I like fancy watches. I like fancy shit. Like, I'm fancy. That's how, use that phrase from now on and watch you feel a shit ton better.
Well, and it's what you said too, Shakti, like really rang true for me. And I was gonna do a video at some point on this, and I just haven't yet. But you know, when Shakti said that to say something is expensive makes it feel like it's not for you, right? And this journey of getting to California and now being in California, I know Shakti is my reader. She tells me shit that actually is true all the time. But she told me for over a year, it's not about California. It's not. Spit that shit out. Spit it out. She's like, it's not about California. It's not about California. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to California. It's not about California. I'm going to California. And then I crossed over into California. Let me tell you, there was not even a goddamn sign that says, welcome to California. I was like, what is this shit? Like, I was totally expecting champagne, rainbows, unicorns, confetti, slow motion crossing over, and like, and welcome to California. We've been waiting for you. Like, I mean, hello, is it too much to ask? I don't think. There was no fucking sign that said, not even just like California state line, nothing. Nothing. I was like, I don't know, am I in Arizona or California? I don't fucking know. No fucking clue. But here's the thing. It is true that it is about the journey, because all I have heard my entire life, and I know this is not just me, California is so expensive. California is so expensive. Most people can't live in California. I couldn't afford to live in California. Like, this is, we see California as like this like promised land that most people can't fucking live in. And what I'm realizing is that well, it is hot when you cross over, but I also came from the desert into the desert, so it's all fucking hot. But what I'm learning is that yes, when I first crossed into California and I saw the gas prices, I felt a little anxiety in the pit of my stomach, right? I was like, okay, here we go, California, game fucking on, right? I see the gas prices of like $3.24, and I'm like, different, very different than what I had been paying for gas. It is fancy, right? We got fancy gas here. Like, instead of laughing gas, we have fancy gas. But let me tell you guys, I went to Trader Joe's and I bought groceries, and I bought organic groceries, and I paid the same fucking price in Trader Joe's in California that I paid at Trader Joe's anywhere else. And so I bought my groceries, and immediately it turned to, I can afford to live in California. I'm paying for an Airbnb that's pretty comparable to what I was paying in different areas. It's fucking bigger, has a balcony, has a pool. I'm still able to buy groceries and eat well and live well. And so every single time I'm able to invest in something that I've been wanting to invest in, it retrains my brain to realize that California is not out of reach for me. And I think that we, well, Julie, I'll be coming up to you, and then when I get to the 385, I'll be like, that's a fancy gas. But what I'm saying is that we have been surrounded our whole lives by friends and family members who make comments about things being expensive, things being too expensive, things being unreasonable, things being out of reach. And then all of a sudden we have these beliefs that things aren't for us, right? That like living in California is for someone else. Making six figures is for someone else. Being a millionaire is for someone else. And because it's never been taught to us that like, oh, you can be a millionaire too. Oh, you can be a successful entrepreneur too. Oh, you can do this. You can live in California. Like, no, we haven't been taught that. And so it's up to us to really break down those stories and realize that there is nothing in this life that is not for us. If it's something that you truly desire, there is nothing in this life that is not for you. So stop with the bullshit story that like pretending that you don't want money, pretending that you don't want to be successful, pretending that you don't want to live somewhere. Stop with that, because you're holding yourself back. And every single time you hold yourself back, especially you mamas out there, what you're showing to your children is that if it's not possible for you, it's not possible for them either. So they better not even try.
And let me share a little personal story about this. And I know so many of you watching this are going to relate a little too hard to this story, okay? So I have been wanting to be a millionaire since I was 5 years old. Literally. I told my family, I'm going to be a millionaire. And I would walk around with a fake checkbook and write checks out to random family members because I had all this money. Like this was my reality at 5. Okay? And when the first time I had some removed uncle and aunt that owned a business, they had I don't know if it was a law firm. I really don't know what the fuck they did with their time, but they made a lot of money and they had a fancy office. And I remember going to that office as a small child and walking in and being like mesmerized by business. It was my first introduction to what a business was. And all I saw was him looking really nice and answering phones, and he looked really busy and really important, and his office looked really important. And there was just an energy of productivity and money in the office that I was like, zing. And I must have been like 9 the first time I stepped into that office. And I kind of knew that that's what I wanted out of my life, like moving forward. I knew I wanted that life. I didn't know what it entailed, but I wanted the energy of what he was. Very magnanimous as well. So he was just very, very generous, very kind, and very wealthy, and just so traveled. And I wanted everything he had for me. I wanted that reality for me. So as my life kind of carried on, and I've been starting businesses since I was 21. I've had many different businesses, and started a coffee shop, failed a coffee shop, started a counseling business, closed the counseling business, massage business, still doing massage business, and coaching and cards and all this stuff. I've done a lot. And I've been constantly working to building this vision of impact, of like wanting to travel, wanting to talk to a lot of people, wanting to share this message, wanting to build a business because I love business. But no one in my family is a business person. No one in my immediate family was a business person. They were immigrants and they had very little money, and I had to put myself through college by earning a scholarship because they couldn't afford to put me through school. It was that level, right? And when I started talking about these dreams with my family, I'll never forget, my grandmother was like, you know, business is really hard and it's a lot of risk. And there's like a lot of details and there's a lot of like numbers, because she knew numbers weren't my strength. And I was always I performed poorly when it came to something like mathematics. It was never my strength, but I was a visionary. I always had a vision and ideas, and that was like my thing. So she would like talk me down, and so would my mom, unknowingly talking me down from this dream that I'd had since I was a very small child. And here's the thing. There are people in your life right now that are doing the exact same thing. And you know what else they're doing as well? Not owning a fucking successful business.
Yep.
So I had people who had
Mhm.
never done what I wanted to do telling me how fucking hard it was and how I wasn't going to be able to do it when they knew jack shit about what I wanted to do with my life. So many of you have people giving you fucking advice, marriage advice, money advice, business advice, who don't know what the fuck they're doing on this planet or where they're even standing. And you're taking their advice. Like, it's good fucking advice. Listen, if you've been divorced 4 times, I really don't want you to talk to me about marriage. Like, I'm not really looking for your advice about how to stay married. That doesn't make any fucking sense. I don't recommend it. Okay? So if you want to start a business and someone in your life who doesn't know shit about business is like, businesses are hard. Only like 1 in 10,000 people makes it. Like, they know fucking statistics because they did the research themselves, or they know anything about business. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, really? Who are you? What business have you started? What business do you even run? Did you even try? What is going on? And we're all just walking around fucking taking the narratives. Like, Desi just used that word, and I'm like, I love it. Taking all these narratives that have just been piled up on us by people who don't know anything. Anything. And we just believe them because they're my uncle, or they're my cousin, or they're my grandmother. Who the fuck cares, dude? Who cares who they are? Do they know what they're talking about? No, unless you're Warren Buffett, don't give me fucking money advice, because that's the guy I want money advice from. You know what I mean? Like, what? Come on.
Yeah. Side note, I think I'm frozen again on the screen, which is awesome. I have that speaker. I always somehow manage to have a speaker over my face. Like on my phone.
Oh, there's a speaker.
But yeah, on the computer, apparently this bathing suit outfit was too hot for camera.
Access denied, Anne.
Yeah. No, but I say this to my clients all the time, right? Like when people say to me like, oh, well, so-and-so thinks I should do this, or so-and-so says that, like people are afraid to grow, right? Really go through their personal growth because of all the other people in their lives that are giving them advice, telling them what to do, what not to do, people telling them that, things are a good idea or not a good idea. And I just simply ask them like, okay, so these people that are like giving you all this advice, would you want to trade lives with them? Because like if not, don't fucking listen to them. Because
thank you.
Here's the thing, like if you look at who you're learning from and who you're, accepting guidance from, you can either accept guidance from the teachers out there who are doing the things that you want to do and are living happy, fulfilling, successful lives, or you can listen to the people who are fucking miserable and broke and telling you that you shouldn't do that thing because it's risky. You know, it's also risky being fucking broke. Like that's risky. Mm-hmm. Staying broke is risky. So there was something else I was going to say and then I got off on a tangent.
I was answering Anna via like written, but Anna asked a really important question. She said, when you're around people who constantly speak from a place of lack, how do you deal? And I responded, but there's more to that I never address the lack. Like I never speak into what they're speaking of. And I'll give you an example of that. Like my poor mom is dealing with so much like pain right now in her experience of reality. My stepfather is slowly dying, and there's a lot of logistical things that are really struggling. And I hold space for her because all she wants to talk about is how hard things are right now. That's like her dialogue. And so I don't speak to that. I listen to her and I reflect what I hear. Like, I hear that you are really struggling right now. I hear that you really want comfort right now. I hear that you're really, you're searching for different emotions, and you're really like trying to find how to be with them because so many things are changing in your life. So I do a lot of that, or I do a lot of just silent listening. I don't engage with that conversation. If it's someone that's really close to me that I have some sort of like confidence with, I'll remind them that words have power. I'm like, do you really want to use that language? I've asked that question before. Like, I just want to ask you, like, do you really want to use that language? Like, how's that language working for you in your experience of reality right now? Sometimes they're kind of like, what are you even talking about? But just letting them reflect on what they're saying, because people don't even know what they're saying. They have no idea what they are saying. People just talk and talk and talk, and they have no concept of what's coming out of their mouth. So sometimes I feel like reflecting or asking those questions is really powerful for them, because it makes them pause and then be like, wait a minute, what did I just say?
Yep.
That's how I handle that.
Yep. And Gabby Bernstein also talks about the fact that, obviously you always have a choice when it comes to engaging with other people. So when it comes to like negativity or people engaging in conversation that you choose not to engage in, or you don't find value in, then you always have a choice. Like Shakti said, you can either just silently listen and not respond, which I've done that quite a few times. I just sit there awkwardly and not respond to something. You can also walk away if it's a conversation where you feel like it's I was gonna say where you feel like you can do that without being weird, but Shakti has shared before that she has walked away from conversations. Like
I have
yeah.
actually, like, in the middle just turned around and walked away.
So I mean, you always have a choice. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to engage in a conversation that you don't want to be a part of. You can also kind of gently guide the conversation into a more positive direction, or you are also like, as someone who is in the process of awakening or have awakened, like, you are the one modeling to other people how words have power and how we choose to create our reality, right? Like, with awareness. And so just like we model to children appropriate ways to behave or appropriate ways to speak, we oftentimes have to do that with adults as well, because there are many adults out there who haven't learned, who don't know. And so, you are the model, you are the leader, you are that guiding light.
And it's, our money stories start from a very, very young age. A very young age. And if I asked you right now to think about the very first memory you have about money, any memory about money, and what those feelings were, many of us will say something quite negative. The majority of us will say something quite negative. My earliest memory, I was 3, and I watched my parents get into a ridiculous argument over money, over not having enough money. And I still remember where I was, almost what I was wearing. I was 3 years old. Like, what I was doing, who I was with, what my environment felt like, that is ingrained in my being. And what do you think that sets you up to believe as you get older? I had a belief that money caused problems, especially with partners. So I recreated that all the time because that was my belief. And it wasn't until I remembered just how young, how early I had a memory of money and what I saw it mean. It meant fighting. It meant problems. It meant sadness. It meant screaming, that I was able to begin to disentangle that for myself and change my own patterns of behavior. So likewise, we all have that. And those of us who are, if you're watching this podcast, you're probably one of them, doing the work to become conscious and unravel our stories. Not everybody is doing that, right? So as you're doing this and you're growing, you have one of two options. You can hold the space and be a guiding light and see who wants to come play with you. Who will join you on the journey of growth? Who will choose to, instead of just being triggered, actually evolve? And then there's going to be those who won't. And they don't want to do that. And it may be time for you to let those people go, no matter what role they play in your life. And it's okay that that happens. And it doesn't mean that you don't love them. And it doesn't mean that you don't, like, my grandmother is one of them. I don't speak to my grandmother very often. And it's because I've made a very deliberate choice to separate from her energy. I do check in with her when I'm in town. I take her my son, and I spend very minimal amounts of time with her because I know where her consciousness is, and she's not open to growth, and she's not open to change. And some people are like, it's your grandmother, la 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 la, and I'm like, it's a human being who has an effect on my consciousness, and I have the choice of whether or not I let that consciousness seep into my experience of reality. I can love her and still not want to be connected to her. That's totally possible.
Yep. Yeah, and I would be like, it is nice to be rich, thanks. But here's the thing.
It's
like,
super nice. It's fucking fancy.
It's fancy.
Fucking fancy, Mom.
But also, like, so many people hold on to clothes that don't fit, shit that's broken. They eat food that isn't healthy because they don't want to throw it away. Like, we have this hoarding mentality of holding on to shit that doesn't serve us because we've been taught that there's something wrong with throwing something away because it's wasteful. It's not wasteful if it doesn't serve you, right? If it's broken, throw it away. If you don't like it, give it away. Like, you're doing yourself a huge disservice by holding on to shit that doesn't bring you joy. If it doesn't bring you joy, get rid of it.
And two, you guys, as you're doing this work, and Anna, your example is a perfect example of this, you're going to trigger shit in other people. Like, as you're working on your money consciousness, and, you know, we all should be, because here's the reality, you guys. Wealth equals access. It's not for the sake of just having a bunch of dollar bills laying around. $100 bills. Like, you're not a dragon sitting on a fucking gold mine. Like, hoarding fucking gold coins and crowns, okay? Like, that's not the point of being wealthy or having wealthy if this is your desire. If wealth is not your desire, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to people who want to be wealthy, okay? But here's what is true about wealth. With wealth, you have so much access that you don't have without it. And here's what I know about a lot of you. You're philanthropists, and you like to help, and you like to serve. Well, guess what? Founding an organization or a foundation is a fuck ton easier when it's all your money, and you can put it wherever you want. It's a lot easier to help people when you have the money to do it. It's a lot easier to create change and structural change when you've got the money to do it. It is access. That's what it equates, okay? So doing money consciousness work is essential if you have a really big goal of impact. If that's not part of your dreams and goals, this conversation ain't for you that I'm doing right now. But if it is, this is why it matters. Not just for the impact it'll have on your life, but the impact it'll have on your community. Two, money consciousness is tied to a lot of things. It's tied to how we do many, many things and how we see ourselves and our self-worth. So as you do the elevation work, other people are going to see this like mirror in you and get triggered as fuck. And all their old money stories are going to come up. And they're going to get mad at you. Like your mom's comment, this passive aggressive, must be nice to be rich, blah, 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 blah. You know, like all that passive aggressive bullshit is going to come up to the surface and people are going to serve it to you left and right. And that's going to be your job to be like, swerve, that ain't my shit, swerve. Swerve. Like your whole experience of life is going to become a massive swerve, okay? To avoid getting smacked in the face with your own fucking limiting beliefs. And you can even say that to some people, like, you know what? I really don't want your limiting beliefs. So, like, you can keep them. They ain't mine. And people will be like, what's a limiting belief? And then you'll be like, and disappear into the background. And moonwalk away from that conversation and let them fucking go explore. That's just one thing you can do.
Well, I think that one of the biggest fears, because I know that I had this fear, and I believe that Shakti had this fear as well, with being rich and really wealthy, is we've been told that rich people are greedy, rich people are bitches, rich people are selfish. And,
oh my God.
Right? And so, but the truth is that money magnifies who you already are. So if you are a loving, generous, kind person, money magnifies that, just like Shakti was talking about in the way to give to other people, right? Like if you are a loving, kind, generous person, you need the money. You should have the money because then you can use the money to do good things in the world, right? Versus there are other people who are very egoic, right? They live in ego and greed and power. There's a difference between power and influence, right? Influence is rooted in love and power is rooted in fear. And so we want the money in the hands of people who are loving and desire to be influential. There's a big difference. You really do vote with your dollars. So to say that money doesn't matter is just like fucking ignorant. It's fucking ignorant to say that money doesn't matter.
Worse.
Or to say, I don't care about money. You should. You should fucking care about money, you guys. You should really care about money.
You really should. That whole influence piece is important.
Yeah. So I talked about this in my virtual classroom. I think it was last week when I talked about the first few chapters of the book that we're doing. But I had a comment on one of my posts, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, talking about how the price of my 3-month coaching package was absurd at almost $5,000. And I don't even remember how I responded to the comment, but I responded in a loving, kind way, because that's who I am. And she responded again, basically saying that, she hoped that at some point the money wouldn't get to my head. Like, at some point I would have money and just like turn into a completely different person. And it's like, okay, then you don't know me. And that's cool. And it's funny because I
have a migraine listening to this comment. Oh.
I had clients who were like, well, then clearly she hasn't worked with you, right? Because anyone who actually knows me and has worked with me knows that, like, I'm not in it for the money, right? I have no shame in setting a price point that I feel is an even energetic exchange. What you give me monetarily is what you receive energetically from me, and I have no fucking shame in that at all. But no, to say like, I hope you don't change, no, bitch. I'm gonna stay who I am. And if anything, here's the thing: when I make even more money than I make now, then, like Shakti said, I'm able to do things on a greater scale and impact on a greater scale. I right now offer pay what you can coaching in my virtual classroom, which is basically sliding scale, right? And I don't offer it to the public, but I do offer that because I am a kind, generous, loving person who wants to impact on a greater scale. If I was fucking greedy, there's no way in hell I would offer a sliding scale option, But so what I'm saying again is that money magnifies who you are at your core. It just magnifies what your values already are.
That being the case, if right now you're being a stingy motherfucker with yourself or in your life, understand that more money will keep you stingy as fuck. And I'm not talking about being like frugal and being wise with your money because you want to be that. I'm talking about being the kind of person who is like clinging so tightly to their money you can't even donate when you feel called, or you can't like give yourself something. Like, and I see it with joining our fitness groups. They're like, well, I just can't give myself that. And I'm like, what message are you sending out to the viewers? You think when you have more money, you'll give yourself more stuff? No, that's not how it works. That's the same idea of like, when I have time, I'll meditate. Mm-hmm. When I have time, I'll work out. I'm like, do you understand how time actually works? Time don't work that way. You make the time. It's not like it's going to appear one day and be like, hey, Gina, here's time. You want to use it for meditation? Okay. No, that's not how it fucking works. That money is the same way. You're not going to suddenly feel generous when you have $10,000 if when you have $10, you can't give $5. Okay? You're not going to miraculously become a generous person because you have more money. That's not how that works. It just amplifies who you already are. So really remember this. It starts now. If you want to live in a different consciousness, live in the consciousness now. If you've got $1, give 10 cents. If you've got $10, give $1. If you 10%, just practice giving, being generous, saying yes to yourself and to other people. And the looser you feel around that, and the more comfortable you feel with giving, the more comfortable you're going to start being with receiving as well. You can't cling like this and imagine that miraculously you're going to make all this money and feel like being a generous human being. It's not going to work.
Right. And Kobe, to address your comment, so you said, that you're frugal but not stingy. There's a difference between being frugal and not invest. There's a difference between not investing in things because you feel like it's not truly what you want. It's not of your true core desire, versus really wanting to invest in something and not allowing yourself that pleasure of investing in it. Like, I am very intentional with how I spend my money. I wouldn't call myself stingy, but I am very intentional with how I invest my money, especially when it comes to food. you know, because my old
Yep.
pattern was that when I had money, I would just like blow it on a bunch of junk. So I was like, I have money now, so I can buy the ice cream and the cupcakes and the blah blah blah. And I will tell you that I think part of the reason I stayed stuck so long was because I felt like I couldn't trust myself to not spend money
Yes.
on things that I didn't actually need, right? And I know that Shakti dealt with this too,
Sure.
as far as like emotional spending. If you are an emotional spender,
Mm-hmm.
hear me very clearly. There is no difference between emotionally spending, emotionally drinking, emotionally eating, like binge eating, binge drinking, binge spending. It's all the same. It's all a fucking addiction. It's you avoiding looking at what needs to be looked at. It's you avoiding your feelings. So if you consider yourself to be a binge spender, then of course you, or binge eater, or binge anything, then you're not going to receive more money because you know on a subconscious level that you can't be trusted with your money. And so therefore you will not receive it.
Exactly right. Yeah, emotionally giving is another part of that as well. Like, you give so much, you have none. And you give, and here's the thing, all of the examples we're giving you guys are inauthentic to who you are. You are binging something because you want approval, you want love, you want comfort, we tend to emotionally like give more than we have to give because we want to be approved of. We want to be loved. We want to be appreciated. So I'll overextend myself so that I get external love from this external source. And that's clearly indicative that you are not giving enough to yourself. Because when you feel enough, you don't fucking do that. My boundaries right now with that are like rock solid. Like, no, I don't need to give shit of my time to anyone if I don't feel available to do that. Like, I do not. And and emotions, Kobe, I just want to clarify, like, emotions are communication. It's just communication, right? You have feelings flowing through you all the time. Doesn't mean that we have to go behave in accordance with all those feelings. But if you are someone who isn't cultivating a practice of space, like meditation, you don't know the difference between the impulsive nature of your emotions and like behavior. You don't know the gap. You're just like, I feel this thing, run in that direction. Like, I feel murderous rage. How many times have you heard in a homicide case, I don't know what happened, I just stabbed him 13 times. I don't know what happened. I just drowned my kid. Like, literally, people black out and they just give in to the feeling because there's no space. There's no cultivation of space, which is why we talk about meditation obsessively all the time. Because when you are practicing meditation, suspension from your senses, you are cultivating space between thought and behavior. And then when you go out into your life and you go and behave in your life, you can do the same shit in real time. So when your coworker says something stupid, you don't slam your head in a copy machine and make 30 copies of their face. Like, this is why we tell you to do this shit now. Because when you do it, it makes you better at life in general.
I don't even know what to say, guys. I don't even know what to say to that.
It's true. You have visions and you're like, I'm just going to slam your face in this copy machine and make 30 copies of your face because I'm so done with you. Like, but if you're practicing this, you can go into your life and do the same thing. When the feeling comes up to emotionally spend, you have the space. When the feeling comes up to emotionally eat, you have the space. But if you don't have the space, you just react.
Yeah, and it's interesting how many people are like, well, no, I would never actually murder that person. Well, good. I'm glad, first of all, you would never actually murder that person. But then, like, you're like, but I don't know why I can't stop shoving cookies in my mouth. It's the same. It comes from the same space. It's just socially acceptable to shove cookies in your face, and it's not socially acceptable to murder people.
It's also more socially acceptable to Amazon Prime your life away versus stabbing someone. That is definitely more emotionally acceptable.
Yes. Yes. Kari, I love your comment. I've joked with a lot of friends. So something I hear all the time is about my laugh. And I still love it. People who love my laugh, I love you guys. It's one of my favorite parts of myself, but I've joked with people that I need to make like a sound bite for people who could just like, when they're feeling pissed, just like hit a button, there's Anne's laugh, you know? I should sell that shit. Yeah. I could make lots of money on that. Just like sell my laugh.
There's another way to make money, by the way, people. If y'all ain't learning, there's many ways. There's many ways.
Seriously, if you, and we've talked about this so many times, but like, if you think you're broke, you're just not being creative, period. Like, think outside of the box. There's 1,000,001 ways that are socially acceptable ways to make money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And laugh button.
You know how they make like those easy buttons? Like that was easy. Like just like my laugh.
Well, now I'm sweating from this.
I'm telling you, this sweatshirt's gonna have to go in the wash because I'm just like sweating. And I could actually take off my clothes because you guys can't see me.
What if it suddenly hops back on? Oh my god, that would be amazing. Boom! There she is in a swimsuit. What up?
Oh, I know. Well, I was thinking like totally going nude, right? Like that's really playing with fire. Like Anne's ass naked, and all of a sudden there are my tits in the camera.
Thanks for hopping on, guys. Hope this was educational for you.
And hopefully no one hopped on at the last minute. But here's the thing.
Why are you talking about tits? What's going on?
Money, tits. So many ways to make money, guys. So many ways to make money.
Living my best life.
You know, I told Shakti before we hopped on live, I was telling her, I was like, first of all, I feel like our best podcasts are when you're pissed off, which she didn't really love hearing that, but that's okay. I think it's kind of true that when one of us is in kind of a shit mood, we tend to have really, really good episodes. But I also told her that I knew that she'd be feeling better by the end. And so I just want to say you're welcome for being your friend.
Yeah. You're welcome that my commitments are so solid. I'm still here versus murdering things. You're welcome.
But also the laughter will prevent you from murdering things.
That's true. Oh my gosh, wait a minute. There's Zoom and there's naked. What? What is happening? What kind of a Zoom were you on, Kari? Like, what kind of Zoom is this?
Yeah, I think it was a Zoom in quotes.
Wait, she took a poop on the top? Wait, what the kind of, why did you stay? How long into this video did you just hang out? That seems like I would have gotten the F out of Dodge pretty quick. Kind of a Zoom call was this?
Oh God, this is the most engagement you guys have had with us in a while too. It's been a while since you guys have really engaged in this way. Okay, and before
this is proof that for money.
this is before we leave though, I want to know, and I want all you bitches on right now and on the replay to let us know, what else do you want us to talk about in the future? Like what do you want to hear more of, so that we can't promise that we'll do it, but we'll try to deliver.
Yeah, give us some topics. Like, what are you struggling with? What is something that when it comes up in your daily life, you're like, I don't know how to handle this, and then we could do a call on it, because we probably already talked about it with amongst ourselves, because that's really all we do, like, all day long. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what do you guys need more of?
Thank goodness I went to the bathroom and want to pee yourself. Yeah, well, maybe go to the potty before you come on this podcast. That's not bad. Potty reminder. Everybody go potty. I'm on the potty train right now. Training my son. Pee pee potty is like the primary phrase in my language.
Yep. And then the other thing when it comes to being a mom or a teacher about to go on a field trip, when the kid says, but I don't need to go, try anyway. Just try. Just try.
I'm done. No, you're not. Sit there. Go pee pee potty. I know. Well, hopefully this was insightful and it gave you a lot to think about, and it really opened up this box of like permission. Like, hopefully not that you need it, but it gave you it to like go out there and live your dream and be your dream, and stop listening to people who don't know what they're talking about, giving you terrible advice. People who are like sad in their lives, and the reason they're telling you that's because they're sad in their lives. Like, look at the people that are doing the thing you want to do. Look at them. Pay attention to them. What are they doing? Like, it's just like with fitness results, right? Like, if you see someone who got amazing results doing a program, ask them, what are you doing? Like, go talk to the person who's doing the work. Go talk to the person who's showing up in their life the way that you want to show up in your life, and ask them questions and participate in their things. Stop listening to everybody else, because it's wasting your energy, it's wasting your time, it's killing your vibe, and it's keeping you from your level of greatness. Like, keeping you really, really small.
Yep. I will tell you guys that the only reason, besides the fact that I constantly jump out of my comfort zone, but the only reason that I'm doing what I'm doing, living a nomadic life, is because I watched other people do it. One person in particular, when I saw Amanda Francis put all of her stuff into storage. Now, I got rid of my shit. She put most of her stuff into storage. But when I saw her put her stuff into storage and start living in Airbnbs, I was like, I want that. I want that life. I want to not have stuff. And I want to go, because here's the thing, like, I realized that although I do invest in things periodically, I would much rather have experiences. I would much rather live life. Doesn't mean I don't want nice things. I do want nice things. But I didn't care about the shit that I already had. I really wanted to go live my life. And so it was because I watched what she did, and I watched everything that she did, and I chose to learn from her, right? So I took a couple of her courses to learn, what does she do? How does she do this? And then I moved on to another teacher. So as I was getting ready to leave Chicago, I invested in a coach who lived life on the road, because I wanted to learn from someone who had done it, and she was getting ready to do it again, because all I was hearing was from a bunch of friends and family members. They didn't know how the fuck I was going to do it, and I sure as hell didn't know how the fuck I was going to do it. So I needed the support of someone who was doing and had done what I wanted to do. Now, granted, the circumstances are a little bit different. Neither of them have cats or pets or anything, right? And they had cars. I didn't. So there were a lot of hurdles that I had to overcome, but I chose to do it anyway. I chose to not let those hurdles stop me from doing the thing that I actually wanted to do, because I trusted that if there is a deep desire in my heart, then there has to be a way for it to work. And I have proven it right over and over and over again in the last year and a half, that if there is something that you want to have done, do it. There's always a way, but learn from the people who are doing and living the life that you want to live in some capacity. It doesn't have to be, exactly the same lifestyle, but follow and learn from the people who are doing whatever it is that you want to do.
Yes. Yes. And Kobe, I responded to you via message, but when we're going through a hormonal transition like that, it's really crazy. And I remember it postpartum with my son, like so many hormones, and they make you believe that that's you when it's not you. So the one thing I will say over and over and over again, lean into your self-practice. Lean into your self-practice. Don't lean out, lean in. Meditation is powerful. It is one of the single most powerful things you can do for your brain ever, under any circumstance. And it is so easy to do, and it is free, and it is at any time you can do it. And it will give you so much perspective, because here's the thing, you are not your body. You are not your body. You are something other than your body. So right now your body is going through a transition, and it is like all over the place, and it needs you, Kobe, you consciousness of Kobe, to hold space for it. And that means showing up to do the practice daily so that your body can find harmony from a different place other than the hormones it's grown to depend on. It needs you to cultivate harmony so it can feel harmony right now.
There are going to be days where you do feel like that, Kobe. You know, it's like that's part of being a human being. And I will say that for me, even though our circumstances are different, but for me, one way to avoid, Abraham Hicks talks about going in the hole or starting in the hole, right? You know, you start off, you're in alignment, and then all of a sudden you're in the hole. And what has helped prevent me from waking up and immediately going in the hole is to meditate before bed and to get into alignment before I get into bed. Because if I get into bed out of alignment, with basically like whatever happened that day still on my consciousness, then the next morning I wake up, and I might wake up forgetting, but then immediately I remember and I go back into the hole. So, you know, you and I are working together on your morning routine. Bring some of that into your evening routine as well. Meditation is powerful right before you go to bed to help with that.
That space, you got to cultivate the space diligently. You've got to do it. You've got to do it every single day without exception. Yep. Thanks for all your questions and comments. I know that Marlene left us some topics, so I am going to take note of that, and then we will kind of craft some communication. That's a really good one. Communication with self and with others. That would be a really great video. So yeah, we're gonna sit with your suggestions. Feel free, if you're watching the replay, to add in topics that you would like for us to cover, and then we will craft podcast episodes that match that so that you guys can have access to it.
We forgot to mention at the beginning too, when we had a shit ton of people on, that if you share this out, one person will get chosen for a mindset call with me. One person will get chosen for a mini reading with Shakti. I want to say, let's extend this for the next 24 hours so that people watching the replay, you know, they can be included. So if you're watching the replay, or if you were on with us live and then come back to watch the rest of it, we'll have 24 hours to share the video out. And then, like I said, Shakti and I will each choose someone from those of you who shared it to earn a free little thing from us. Alrighty.
Yep.
Thanks, you guys, for hopping on. Thanks for being so patient last week as I was getting my hair cut and shit didn't work out. But I'm glad we showed up with you guys tonight, and we will see you next Monday. Bye.
Good night, guys.